Behind every NFL first overall pick comes a generational college star with expectations of being the franchise savior. With that said, living up to these expectations is difficult, especially considering that these guys are going to the worst situations in the NFL. Many are so quick to write off these players if they don't win a handful of Super Bowls and an MVP trophy, and don't look into what led to some of these stars' careers going downhill. Now that the 2010s are behind us, let's take a look at every first overall selection from 2010 to 2016 and go over the highs, lows, and put a final jurisdiction on their careers as a top pick of their respective drafts. Let's start off our video with in 2010, we have Oklahoma quarterback Sam Bradford. Coming out of college, he was the AP College Football Player of the Year, along with winning the Heisman back in 2008. He was the distinguished #1 overall selection going into the 2010 NFL Draft, ready to be selected to the St. Louis Rams. His rookie season would start out promising as he would win the Offensive Rookie of the Year honors in his rookie season. And the next season, we would start to see Bradford deal with the reoccurring injuries that affected his whole career, as he went 1-9 in games he appeared in, thanks to a high ankle sprain he would deal with. In 2013, he would tear his ACL in a Week 8 matchup against the Carolina Panthers, ending his season early, and in 2014, we would see him tear that same ACL he tore the season before in a preseason game, ending his 2014 season before it even started. In the 2015 offseason, we would see him be traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, where in his first season with Philadelphia, he would lead them to a 7-9 record, but they would miss the playoffs that year. He would earn a 2-year extension with the Eagles worth $26 million, but the Eagles that offseason would draft Carson Wentz with his second overall selection, who they traded up for actually. That offseason, he would be traded to the Vikings in 2016 for a first-round pick, after current Vikings starting quarterback at the time, Teddy Bridgewater, would tear his ACL during OTAs. The Vikings had a promising start to the season 4, but they only lost thanks to Blair Walsh. He would lead the Vikings to a 5-0 start, but after a 4-game skid, the Vikings would finish the season 8-8 and miss out on the playoffs. In 2017, we would see another season-ending injury for Bradford, and in 2018 he'd be released, and he hasn't appeared in the NFL game since. Some of his career stats include passing for over 19,000 yards, and he also had a 103 touchdown to 61 interception ratio. Now, some notable players that were selected in this draft include Trent Williams, Antonio Brown, Gerald McCoy, Rob Gronkowski, Eric Berry, Earl Thomas III, Geno Atkins, and Ndamukong Suh. All superstar players or just Pro Bowl level players in this league. So what grade do I have to give Bradford for his career? We're starting off the video pretty depressingly. For the first overall pick, especially, he's going to be a bust. He only got one decent year of production for St. Louis, which was his rookie season. He would bounce around the league and he was a capable backup, fringe starter / bridge quarterback at the most, but injuries really ruined him, and it just sucks to see a promising career go down so easy. Next up, in 2011, we have the most electric player on our list, when the Carolina Panthers selected Cam Newton, a quarterback from Auburn. Like, come on, we all know his story. He was the Heisman winner back in 2010, College Football Player of the Year, he was a national champion. He would be selected to, as you guys know, the Carolina Panthers, where he would take the league by storm his rookie season, winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. And fun fact, the reason why he wears #1 in the league is because the quarterback at the time, Jimmy Clausen, wouldn't give up his #2, which Newton wore at Auburn. So that is why Cam rocks the #1 in the league, and it paid off. In his first NFL game, he would pass for 422 yards and a 28-21 loss to the Cardinals, but in that game would break Peyton Manning's rookie record for most passing yards for a rookie on opening day. He would finish his rookie season with 4,051 yards, 21 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. He would also rush for 706 yards and 14 touchdowns, which was a rookie record, until RG3 would break it the very next season. And fun fact about his rookie season, in games where he didn't have a turnover, they were 6-0. But in the games where he had one, they were 0-10. So of course that correlates a little bit, but pretty funny stat. Also, Cam would make the Pro Bowl this season, with Giants quarterback Eli Manning participating in the Super Bowl. Now, Newton would be an above average quarterback throughout his tenure in the NFL up until the 2015 season, which put him to superstar status. His most notable season would come throughout his MVP season, after he signed a 5-year, $100 million contract extension, where he would finish the 2015 season 15-1. He would finish the season with 3,837 yards, 46 total touchdowns, winning the NFL's MVP. And not much has to be said about this season, because every NFL fan knows how magical it was. His famous celebrations after every touchdown, like the dab, hitting the folks, and that scuba celebration, or his flip into the end zone, made Cam one of the most entertaining players to watch in football, and arguably having one of the best MVP seasons we've ever seen. The Panthers would have a 14-0 record going into the Week 16 match, looking to complete the perfect season, but a loss to their rival, the Atlanta Falcons, would ruin these hopes. They would play the Seahawks in the divisional round, where they would go up 31-0 in that game, which ended at 31-24, and the Panthers almost blew a 31-point lead. And this foreshadows another NFC South team that I'm not even going to talk about right now. But they would trash the Cardinals in the NFC Championship game 49-15 and would go on to play the Broncos in the Super Bowl. They would sadly lose this game 24-10, where Cam would get a lot of hate for the sluggish offense and not jumping on that infamous fumble that would put the game out of reach in the Broncos' favor. The next time Cam would return to the playoffs would be that 2017 season, after playing injured in the 2016 season where the Panthers would finish 6-10. He finished the season with 3,300 passing yards, 22 total touchdowns, and 6 rushing touchdowns. However, they would lose to their divisional rival Saints 30 31-26 in the wildcard round. After that 2017 season, this is where Cam would start to see his reoccurring shoulder injuries that would eventually end his career. In 2018, after starting the season 6-2, Newton would play through a shoulder injury that would see him drop 6 games in a row, as the Panthers would end his season early. He would also undergo shoulder surgery that offseason. In that 2019 season, after playing 2 games, Newton would be deactivated due to a Lisfranc injury that would end his season as well. In 2020, Cam would play for the Patriots, where he claimed is the first time he truly felt healthy since that 2017 season. He would lead the league in rushing touchdowns with 12 of them, as the Patriots would finish 7-9, missing the playoffs for the first time since the Brady era. New England released Cam that offseason in favor of starting Mac Jones, where he would return to the Panthers for a second stint. It looked promising at first, as the Panthers would win against the Cardinals, where Cam would put up 2 touchdowns, but the 5 games he started after, the Panthers would lose, and he hasn't seen time in the NFL since. Some notable players drafted after Cam Newton in this draft would be Von Miller, who's a Super Bowl MVP, JJ Watt, a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Patrick Peterson, Cameron Jordan, Julio Jones, AJ Green, and Tyron Smith. So what would I give him as a grade? I mean, come on, it's so obviously a superstar, and if you clicked because you thought I really gave Cam Newton an average grade because of the thumbnail, you just got trolled. Cam Newton took the league by storm, and he was always consistently a top quarterback in the league, no thanks to the terrible situation Carolina put him. In his prime, he was arguably the most exciting quarterback to watch in the league for a good amount of time as well. Next up on our list in 2012, we have Andrew Luck, a quarterback from Stanford. He was the golden boy of all quarterback prospects, regarded as one of the greatest QB prospects we've ever seen. He was a first-team All-American back in 2011, 2-time Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year, 2-time first-team All-Pac-12. Luck would also lead the Stanford Cardinals to an 11-2 record in his final year, getting a Fiesta Bowl. He'd also be the runner for Heisman that season behind second overall pick Robert Griffin III. And he was so good as a prospect that there was a slogan in 2011 for the NFL team: suck for luck, where people believe that teams were losing games on purpose just for the opportunity to draft Andrew Luck. Now, Luck would eventually be selected by the Colts first overall, where he would succeed Peyton Manning, who would depart Indianapolis this season after being injured the season before. In his rookie season, he would help the Colts to 11 wins, a record for all first overall rookie quarterbacks. This is impressive, as the Colts were 2-14 the season before. He would draw the eventual Super Bowl champions Baltimore Ravens in the wild card, where they would lose in Luck's playoff debut. But Luck would break the rookie record for passing yards in the season held by Cam Newton the season before, with 4,183 yards. He would also be nominated for a Pro Bowl in his rookie season. In his sophomore season, Luck would lead the Colts to another 11-5 season, winning the AFC South that season. They would draw the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, where the Colts would fall down 28 points. However, Luck would help to lead the Colts to a 45-44 victory this game, as he would end the game with a 64-yard touchdown pass to T.Y. Hilton. He also had another key place, recovering a fumble near the goal line for a touchdown as well. The Colts season would end due to a 43-22 defeat to the Patriots the next week, and this season would end with Luck being named to his second Pro Bowl in 2 seasons. The 2014 season would see Luck play some of the best ball in his career. After an 0-2 start to this season, Luck would rally the Colts to a 5-2 start. With 2 of those games, he dropped 40 or more points. The Colts would win the AFC South again for the second time in Luck's career, where they would defeat the Bengals and the Peyton Manning-led Broncos to get to the AFC Championship, where they would ultimately get spanked by the Patriots in the infamous Deflategate scandal. Luck this season played the best ball of his career, throwing for 4,761 yards, 40 touchdowns, and 60 interceptions, with a 96.5 passer rating. The 2015 season was where we start seeing the injuries start to ruin Luck's career, similar to the previous 2 players on our list. He would miss the first 2 games of his career in weeks 4 and 5. However, after the lacerated kidney in week 9, Luck would not step on the field for the rest of the season. The 2016 season would start with Luck signing a 6-year, $140 million contract, making him the highest player in the league. Now, 2017 would be another injury-riddled season, as he held out of camp and preseason, and he was announced to miss a couple games to start the season due to him still recovering from shoulder surgery that offseason. However, after week 8, Luck would be placed on injured reserve, ending his season without even playing. In 2018, he would play in his first game in 616 days. The Colts would start the season 1-5, and it looked like another throwaway season for the squad. However, Luck would rally his squad to 5 straight wins to get to a 6-5 record, ultimately ending the season 10-6 and the 5th seed in the AFC playoff card race. They would play division rival Houston Texans, where they would march into Houston and defeat the rival 21-7, but would lose to the Chiefs in the next round 31-13. Luck would finish the season 4,593 yards, 39 touchdowns, and to 15 interceptions, winning the NFL's Comeback Player of the Year award. Now, everything looked like it was going to go so well for the Colts. That following offseason, Luck would shock the NFL world, announcing his retirement after 7 seasons in the league. He noted that his recurrent cycle of injuries and time in rehabbing his body played a major role in his decision. Luck retired at one of the earliest ages that superstar professional athlete can, ending his career when it seemed like he was starting to enter the prime of his playing days. Colts fans were irate with this decision, booing him off the field during a preseason game when he announced it. Some notable players drafted in this draft include Harrison Smith, Chandler Jones, David DeCastro, Stephon Gilmore, who would win a Defensive Player of the Year award, Fletcher Cox, Bobby Wagner, and Luke Kuechly, another player who would retire early, and Russell Wilson. So what grade am I going to give Andrew Luck? I feel like it's only right to give him the superstar grade. Who knows the accolades and milestones he would have accomplished in the league if he kept playing. However, he does earn a superstar grade because, like Newton, when he was healthy, he was always a top quarterback in the league. And when he was injured or after he retired, the state he would lead this team in would be pretty hard to recover from after his retirement. Now in 2013, the first overall selection would be Eric Fisher, an offensive tackle from Central Michigan University. Coming out of college, Fisher was a first-team All-American and was touted as one of the top tackles and just overall talents in the 2013 NFL Draft. He would become the first player from the Mid-American Conference, otherwise known as the MAC, to be drafted #1 overall, and one of the 2 players from Central Michigan to be selected in the first round of the NFL Draft, with the other being Joe Staley, the legendary tackle for the Cleveland Browns. Now Fisher would start his career at right tackle his rookie season, as Coach Andy Reid elected to play Brandon Albert at left tackle, even though he played left tackle in college. In his first year, he would allow 7 sacks and 35 quarterback carries, which was pretty below average. He also was a below average run blocker out of all the tackles who played in the NFL. To his defense though, being a rookie tackle might be one of the hardest positions besides quarterback. In his sophomore season, Fisher would be moved to his natural left tackle position. The start of Fisher's career is pretty average, with nothing really good or bad to say. He was just an average player. Now throughout his rookie contract years, Fisher would be a solid tackle for the Chiefs, enough to earn him a 5th-year option and a 4-year contract the year after, worth $48 million. Now an infamous moment of the early part of Fisher's career would be in the 2016 divisional round, as they were down 18-10 in the playoffs against the Steelers. The Chiefs would score a touchdown and score a successful 2-point conversion, which would tie the game. However, that was called back as Fisher was called for a holding penalty, which they wouldn't convert after. They would lose to the Steelers 18-16 that game, where that 2-point conversion would have came in very handy. Now Fisher would have a pretty stable career as he would continue to be an average starter for the Chiefs, where he'd be a Pro Bowler in the 2018 and 2020 season. He would be released by the Chiefs after suffering a torn Achilles in 2021, and he would sign with the Colts that offseason. His career would end with the Dolphins in 2022, where he'd be signed in December but hasn't seen the field since. And a fun fact about Eric Fisher, he is the only #1 overall pick to win a Super Bowl with the team he got drafted by in the past 25 years. Some notable players drafted from this draft include DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, Keenan Allen, Adam Thielen, Tyrann Mathieu, David Bakhtiari, Darius Slay, Lane Johnson, Teron Armstead, and Ezekiel Ansah. So what grade am I going to give Fisher? Throughout his career, he was an average player at best. He would never be anything special, but as just a solid starter. He would never miss much time also at a premium position, so that's pretty significant, but still, I'm going to give him an average grade throughout his career. In 2014, we would see Jadeveon Clowney get drafted 1st overall, an edge rusher from South Carolina. Now, Clowney was a monster coming out of high school, being rated a 5-star and the consensus #1 overall recruit from every major recruiting website. Coming out of college, everyone knew that Clowney was an athletic freak, and we've all seen that clip from the Outback Bowl, that famous ball-to-line moment where after Michigan would gain a very questionable 1st down call, Clowney would hit stick Michigan running back Vincent Smith, forcing a fumble, getting the ball back to its rightful side the literal next play. Now, he would finish his Gamecock career with an SEC Defensive Player of the Year award in 2012. He was a first-team All-American and SEC in 2012 and 2013, and would have his number 7 retired by the program. Going into the draft, he was a projected top 3 pick at worst, with the other players being considered were Auburn's Greg Robinson and Clemson's Sammy Watkins. He would get drafted by the Houston Texans, and it was the first defensive player drafted 1st overall by any team since Mario Williams in 2006, who was also drafted by the Texans. Now, the first game of Clowney's career didn't go so well. Against the at-the-time Washington Redskins, he would tear his meniscus and have to miss 4 to 6 weeks. He would appear in 4 games his rookie season, gaining 7 total tackles, 5 of them being solo tackles, in an underwhelming rookie season that was plagued by injuries. His sophomore season would see him record his first regular season sack against the Dolphins, as he had finished the season with 40 tackles and 4.5 sacks. Now, 2016, which was his 3rd season, would see him pick up the production, as he was named to his first Pro Bowl and All-Pro season. He would have 6 sacks this season with 52 tackles and a forced fumble. Now, those stats don't sound all that, but his pressure rate would go from the season before at 7.9%, ranking 30th out of eligible 33 outside linebackers in a 3-4 scheme, to the 2nd highest pressure percentage at his position. While the sack numbers don't show it, Clowney was getting to the quarterback. The 2017 season would be promising as well, as he would receive another Pro Bowl nod. He would get 9.5 sacks, which ties a career high for him at this point of his career as well. The 2018 season would see another steady 9-sack season, which awarded him a franchise tag from the Texans. However, that same offseason in 2018, he would be traded to the Seattle Seahawks. And while his sack numbers went down to 3 that season, he was super disruptive in the run game and still generating a lot of pressures. Clowney would sign with the Titans in that offseason and then bounce back to the Browns for the 2021 to 2022 seasons, where after a 9-sack season in his first season with Cleveland, his numbers would drop drastically to a 2-sack season. Now, out of nowhere, in the 2023 season, it seems like Clowney's career was revived with Baltimore. tying his career high in sacks with 9.5, being the 19th ranked edge in the NFL with 78 total pressures and a 16.8% pass rush win rate, which would see him in the top 20-30 range out of all edges. This offseason, he'd make a homecoming back to the Panthers, signing with them this offseason. Some notable players selected in this draft would include Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, Mike Evans, DeMarcus Lawrence, Jake Matthews, Odell Beckham Jr., CJ Mosley, Devontae Adams, Joel Bitonio, Taylor Lewan, Zach Martin, Shaq Barrett, Al Robinson, and Jarvis Landry. And that's just a handful of the players selected. This draft was star-studded. So what grade am I going to give Clowney throughout his career? This hurts to say, but I'm going to give him an average grade. While Clowney is a great player, he falls victim to the fact that this draft produced some absolute studs. While besides the 2 to 3 early seasons he had in his career, he was never a consistently top player at his position, which you would expect with a number 1 overall selection to earn the superstar status grade. So that is why Clowney will be awarded the average grade.
I want everybody to look at me. That's a W.
Now in 2015, we would have one of the most loved and funniest players in the league, which was Jameis Winston, quarterback from Florida State University, and he was a dog in college. Jameis was the AP College Football Player of the Year in 2013, along with Sporting News College Player of the Year. He also won the Manning Award in 2013, along with the 2013 Davey O'Brien Award, given to the best quarterback in college football. He was also the ACC Player of the Year, a consensus All-American, ACC Offensive Player of the Year, and Rookie of the Year, and was first team All-ACC. That was all done in one season. He would also lead the Seminoles to a national championship that season. So what an amazing 2013 season. He was also the ACC Athlete of the Year in 2014. So essentially the hype was there for Winston. He would end his FCS career 26-1 as a starter with 7,964 yards, 65 touchdowns, and this was all done in 2 seasons. Winston will be drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers first overall in the 2015 NFL Draft. Now Winston's career would start off pretty interestingly because in his first game against fellow draft pick and 2nd overall selection Marcus Mariota, Winston's first NFL throw would be intercepted and returned back for a touchdown, which was the first time this has happened since Brett Favre back in 1991, and we're going to see a lot of similarities between the two. If to make matters worse, Mariota's first throw would go for a touchdown, so kind of the rough debut for Dabo and the Buccaneers, as they would lose this game 42-14. A bright spot of Winston's rookie season was him tying an NFL rookie record with 5 touchdown passes in 1 game, which also tied the Buccaneers franchise record for most touchdown passes in a game. Now Jameis would finish his rookie season basically breaking all franchise records in pass, as he broke the pass attempts, completions, and touchdowns record. He would break the rookie yards record, and he would fall 23 yards short of Josh Freeman's franchise record for passing in an NFL season. He was named to the NFL All-Rookie team and was the 3rd rookie in NFL history to pass for over 4,000 yards in the season. He would be nominated for his first Pro Bowl game due to opt-out as well. In his sophomore season, after an impressive 281-yard day with 4 touchdowns over divisional rival Atlanta Falcons at their home, Winston and the Buccaneers would slump with a 3-game losing streak, all via blowout, and his team would be 3-5. However, Winston would lead the Buccaneers to their first winning season in 7 years, where he broke franchise records in passing and passing touchdowns with another 4,000-yard season. Now, similar to other quarterbacks and players on this list, once their career started looking promising, injuries would ruin them, as Winston injured an AC joint in his right throwing shoulder that he played through week 6. In the 2018 season, Winston would be suspended due to off-the-field issues, the infamous crab leg story, and Ryan Fitzpatrick went on an insanity run to start the season that had Tampa and the NFL fans questioning who the Buccaneers should go forward with at quarterback that season. The 2018 season would be a down year for Winston after splitting time with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, the 2019 season would be the infamous 30-30 season for Jameis Winston, as it seemed that every game this season he would show flashes of the great quarterback he could be, but also the sloppy turnover that have haunted him throughout his whole career. For example, in week 10, he would lead the squad to a victory over the Cardinals with 358 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Week 11 showed more of the bad sides of Winston's season, as he would throw for 4 interceptions and a blowout loss to the Saints.
And now Winston, great protection. And behind the back.
Week 14, he would have a game with 456 yards, 5 touchdowns, which is intriguing, but then he had 3 interceptions to go with. In Jameis' 30-30 season fashion, he would end the season throwing a game-losing pick 6 to get him over the 30 interception mark. He would finish the season with 5,109 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 30 interceptions, 7 of those interceptions being returned for touchdowns. The Buccaneers decided to not re-sign Jameis in the offseason, making him a free agent, where the Tampa would enter their Tom Brady era going forward. Now, Winston was signed with the Saints in the 2020 offseason, where he would back up Drew Brees that season, and in 2021, he would be made the starting quarterback, where he would have a 5-2 record before tearing his ACL that season. In 2022, Winston would re-sign with the Saints, where he would battle with Andy Dalton, and eventually lose his job to Dalton that season, and in 2023, he backed up Derek Carr. This offseason, he is signed to become Deshaun Watson's backup, where he will battle with former Ravens backup quarterback Tyler Huntley to become the backup quarterback for Cleveland. Some notable players drafted from this draft include Stephon Diggs, Brandon Sheriff, Danielle Hunter, Amari Cooper, Darren Waller, Marcus Peters, Frank Clark, Todd Gurley, Andrews Pete, Zadarius Smith, and Tyler Lockett. Now, for my grade on Winston's career, this is the hardest grade in my opinion. because I gave other players the average or superstar grade due to the player showing potential to be a high caliber player. And Jameis definitely did show the potential, especially in his first 2 seasons. However, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I'm giving Jameis a bust grade in the NFL. While his first 2 seasons were pretty promising, he led the Buccaneers to their first winning season as well, but he had super talented rosters in the latter part of his career and couldn't achieve anything with them. And we saw what Brady achieved with his roster the moment he took over, which was a Super Bowl victory and multiple playoff appearances. The Buccaneers were always the laughingstock of the NFC South during Winston's tenure, and even though he had great numbers, I felt these numbers were pretty inflated as the Buccaneers would either be losing or trailing off. I hate to give Jameis this grade as he's one of my favorite personalities in the league, but it's just my opinion and take on his overall career. I'm sorry to all Jameis fans.
Yeah, just pain. It was pain everywhere.
Now, the final player in this list is going to be from the 2016 NFL Draft when the Los Angeles Rams would draft Jared Goff, a quarterback from the California Golden Bears. Now, Goff had a rough start to his collegiate career, but it would help the Cal Golden Bears become relevant again thanks to a 7-5 season in 2015 and the Golden Bears' first winning season since 2011. He would have performances like his 48-46 victory over Arizona State, where he would throw for 542 yards, and his Armed Forces Bowl performance, where he would throw for 467 yards and 6 touchdowns, and a 55-36 victory over the air. Now, going into this draft, Goff was mainly mocked to go to the Browns at the 2nd overall selection, as the Titans, who were slotted to pick first, already drafted their franchise quarterback in Marcus Mariota the draft forward. However, the Los Angeles Rams would acquire the 1st overall pick from the Tennessee Titans, giving them the 15th pick in this draft, 2 second-round picks, and a 3rd in the same draft, along with a 1st in the next year and a 3rd that year as well. The Rams would select Goff with the 1st overall pick, and he would sit behind Case Keenum to start the year, until he would start his first game in Week 11 against the Dolphins. Goff would not win a single game in his rookie season, and he finished the season with 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions in 7 games played. Now, Goff's career would have a huge turnaround with the hiring of former Washington offensive coordinator Sean McVay, where in Week 1, Goff would earn his first win in the league, completing 306 yards and a touchdown. Now, the season was a success for the Rams as they would finish the season 11-5. Goff would win the PFWA's Most Improved Player as he threw for 3,800 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. He led the league in yards per completion with 12.9, and he would help the Rams clinch their first NFC West title since 2003. The Rams would lose their wildcard matchup against the Falcons, but Goff would be named to his first Pro Bowl as a replacement for the injured Carson Wentz. The 2018 season saw similar success, but way more success for Goff and company. And Goff famously played in that Week 11 matchup against the Chiefs on Monday Night Football, which is regarded as one of the best games in NFL history. The Rams would defeat the Chiefs 54-51 as he threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Rams would win the NFC West for the 2nd time in a row and clinch a first-round bye with a number 2 seed in the NFC, where they would defeat the Cowboys in the divisional round. The NFC Championship was the infamous no-call PI against the Saints that would at least help them win and advance to the Super Bowl. Goff and the Rams would be absolutely stumped by the Patriots in the Super Bowl as they could not get their offense going at all in a 13-3 loss. Now, 2019 was a little bit of a setback year for the Rams as they did finish 9-7 as the offense started to regress. And in 2020, Goff would deal with injuries and just overall mediocre play, which people questioned his future with the organization. He would help the Rams win their wildcard matchup against the Seahawks, where he came into the game as a backup after John Wolford would suffer a neck injury, but they would lose to the Packers in the divisional 32-18. Now, Goff's career had a huge turnaround in 2021 offseason, where he'd be traded to the Detroit Lions in a package deal in exchange for Matthew Stafford. Now, this season was not kind for Goff and the Lions, as they would start 0-10-1, where Goff would win his first NFL win without Sean McVay as his coach in Week 13 against the Vikings. The Lions would finish the season 3-13-1, and a season just for everyone to forget about. Now, in 2022, the Lions started slow again with a 1-6 start, but things started clicking in Detroit as the Lions had rallied to finish season 9-8, and it was really starting to look up for the Lions. The rebuild was finally complete last season in 2023, as Goff and the Lions would finish the season winning the NFC North with a 12-5 record, where they would win the first playoff games in years since 1991. They would also defeat the Buccaneers in the divisional, making their first NFC Championship appearance since that 1992 season as well. However, after having a 24-7 lead against the 49ers in the NFC Championship, the 49ers would swing back due to questionable 4th down decisions. Now, some notable players drafted in this draft include Jalen Ramsey, Joe Bosa, Dak Prescott, Michael Thomas, Ezekiel Elliott, Tyreek Hill, Ronnie Stanley, Carson Wentz, DeForest Buckner, Xavier Howard, Chris Jones, Laremy Tunsil, Kevin Byard, and Derrick Henry. So what would this grade be? And this is tough because you can argue for Goff being average and Goff being a superstar. Now, I know I had a controversial choice with Winston, so I'm going to give Goff the superstar status. But I'm not flashy. He's helped 2 teams to success, getting the Rams to contender status with McVay, along with finally completing getting Detroit to be a competitive team in the league. It's tough to fully examine and judge the careers of these first overall picks from 2010 to 2016. However, we did see each player's triumphs, setbacks, and unforeseen challenges they embraced throughout their whole career. From the superstars who lived up to the hype to those who fell short of their expectations. All these players left their mark somehow in the NFL. What we learned from this video, however, is that beyond stats and accolades in the NFL, football is an unpredictable sport. I aim for this video to show the reasons why some players might have failed in the league. And when you're a first overall selection in the NFL draft, the expectations are there for you. Now, this begs the question, do you agree with our picks? Stay tuned as we'll be doing a part 2 of this video for the draft picks from 2017 and beyond. Thank you.